Sick and tired of your love-hate relationship with wine?
Welcome to the Feel It Alcohol-Free podcast. Hi, I'm Coach Ruby Williams.
And I'm Coach Susan Larkin.
We're two former wine lovers turned alcohol freedom coaches, exposing the lies about alcohol.
And giving you, our listeners, the tools to break free so you can feel lit.
And when you're lit, you'll feel healthier, freer, and more in control of your life.
So relax, kick back, and get ready to feel lit alcohol-free.
Welcome back to the Feel It Alcohol-Free podcast. We are super excited. This is such a fun, joyful topic. You know, the joy is in the journey. I remember the first time I wanted to figure out how to just like reset my drinking or just go back to being a normal drinker. And I thought it was about like the number of days or maybe a month, right? If I quit alcohol for 30 days, then I can just be a normal drinker. Or if I abstain for 100 days, you know, it was very like diet mentality. It felt like I wanted a quick fix. And if I do it, you know, habit change, I used to think was all about a certain amount of days or months, and then you'd reset and I could go back to just like drinking one glass occasionally. And, you know, the more and more that I've done, I'm alcohol free now for 5 years. And so are you, Susan. And the more I think back to that first year, there was so much joy in the journey, but you almost have to get past the year and then look at that year. But we just want to talk to you about this joy in the journey, and that the path to alcohol freedom is really filled with growth and self-discovery and tons of wins. You know, we celebrate with our clients, and it just celebrate all along, like everything. So it's really not just about reaching that end goal, but about embracing every single step, you know, celebrating the small victories, learning about yourself in the process. So anyway, we came up with 6 questions that people ask us the most about our alcohol-free journeys, and just we want to share the answers with you on this pod. So, are you ready, Susan? Are you game?
I'm ready. I'm game.
Right, let's do this.
Ask away.
Okay, so the first question, number 1. All right.
Okay.
What has been the most surprising on your alcohol-free journey? And think back to that first year. You know,
Yeah. I would say how amazing life is now on the other side of alcohol, you know, how amazing alcohol-free life is. And we've talked about that before on the podcast, where I say nobody who's given up alcohol is like, it's okay. It's like, no, this is amazing, which is why we're out here on social media and why we have this podcast. But just how much growth is possible once you ditch alcohol, especially around emotional mastery. I think I grew just so much. And I just didn't realize how much alcohol was keeping me down. I think that's the biggest surprise, is like, wow, how much it was really keeping me down and how much I grew once I gave it up. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll piggyback off yours because I came up with my answer before we're hearing this for the first time. But the emotional roller coaster, similar. And in fact, that's why even we named the podcast Feel Lit. I had no idea that my emotions were just like kind of like what you said, but like this whole such highs, such lows, after I went alcohol free. And I realized that I was numbing my emotions, and I just had no idea. I had no idea how to feel.
Yes.
And I just let my emotions take over. And now I just have so much more. See, yeah, I think we're similar. That one we got kind of similar. I didn't realize it. But it's so true. Like I just had no idea. And that was so surprising to me that, I mean, we might as well call this the learning how to feel journey.
Well, yeah. I think when we're drinking, a lot of us are just on autopilot. I felt like that. I felt like I remember even saying this to my husband. I'm like a board. I just have no feelings. I'm just numb. And if I feel stress or anxiety, then I would drink over that. But any feeling I didn't want to feel, I would drink. And then and as we say, if you numb the bad feelings, you also numb the good feelings. And so I was just this flat line. I may as well have been dead. It feels like really emotionally, I was dead. I was flatlined.
And I hear some of the clients say they're like zombies.
Yeah.
Like I hear that word, or autopilot or robots. And it is, flat. I like that. Yeah, flat. So that's what we think for what has been most surprising. We both kind of came up with sort of similar, which is interesting. Okay. Question number 2. And I'll go to you first, Susan. What has been the most challenging on your alcohol-free journey?
Well, and the thing that kept me stuck for a really long time was I didn't want to be different. Right? And I thought that there was something wrong with me. And I thought that I wasn't normal if I couldn't drink. And so it was very challenging to decide to make this kind of different radical choice to not drink. But once I learned the science about how alcohol affects your brain and your body, which we've talked about so many times on this podcast, and I think it was honestly, when I was being coached, hearing there's nothing wrong with you, your body is reacting normally to an addictive substance, then I was just able to let go of that belief that was keeping me so stuck, and that fear. It was really fear of being different. I don't like being different. You want to be accepted, right? And then that just enabled me to let go. So yeah. And then I wanted to add, and now the challenging thing is just the ignorance, I think, of people like just assuming that everyone drinks or everyone should drink. Mm-hmm. And it's weird if you don't. And not, that just bugs me. So I guess that's a little challenging. It's like pet peeve.
Well, now we know so much as coaches.
Yeah.
And we've made this our life, coaching people.
True.
Yeah. So I would say the most challenging thing when I think back to that first year was telling people and being honest. I didn't tell many people. At first, I told you in the beginning of this that I was like going to only be alcohol free for like 30 days. So why tell anybody? Or I think I did kind of a dry January. So that was an easy way to just say, I'm trying a dry January. But since I worked in the wine industry for 20 years, I mean, it was like I told you before, it's like a part of my identity. And so telling people, I felt like a hypocrite. Like, wait, for the last 20 years, I worked in the industry, promoted it, like hyped it up, posted social media with my wine glasses, wore t-shirts that said rosé all day. I mean, you name it, I did it. So I felt like, well, how can I change my identity? And now what? I'm supposed to say I'm not going to drink. So I came up with some really cool, we call it our elevator pitch. But once I was working with, some people and getting help and like really honing in that elevator pitch, which for me was, I'm on a keto diet. So I can't drink alcohol because I'm on a keto diet. And that worked fairly well because I didn't have to say I had a problem. It was really like a health issue. Mm-hmm. But then when I finally wanted to get honest, it unfolded over the entire year. I would reach out to one friend and one at a time, I started telling my siblings, my friends, but that was very challenging for me because, well, it's about once you share, it kind of releases that shame, but it is difficult at first. Mm-hmm. And then I think my parents were the last people that I told. And I just, because I always wanted to be the good girl, right? Or do the right thing. And this was admitting that I had a problem because I did have a problem. So that was very challenging just to being honest, because even some people were like, but I don't think you have a problem, or I only saw you, drink a couple glasses, at parties, but they didn't know the whole story. And that's the thing that's interesting is nobody knows the whole story unless they live with you. Or even when they live with you, we hear from our clients that they are hiding it from their spouses, their children. So yeah, it's like, maybe I went out and you only saw me drink a couple glasses, but I came home and drank bottles. Yeah. So Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was challenging, but definitely doable. And having a coach can really help. Like we can help you with, coming out alcohol free if you want to.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with that. It was hard to tell my family too. A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. To feel like I was disappointing them or something. I don't know why I felt that. I worried that I would make them feel bad. Like they can drink and this was my choice. And I really made a huge point of making sure that they didn't think I was judging them. That's what more I was worried about, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
And I do remember showing my mom my website because I got alcohol free during COVID. And so I didn't see my parents. That first Christmas we had to cancel. And so I didn't see my parents until I was already a year and a half alcohol free or over. Yeah. And I'd already started my coaching business, or I was in the coaching program, and I showed them my website, and my mom just just was silent. Just took so much time reading because my stories in there and everything. And she didn't really say much. So yeah, but by then I was pretty on my way. It was a pretty solid choice. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
did I tell you that my mom sometimes listens to this podcast?
She does.
And I'm like, you do?
Oh, that's so awesome.
I know. So what did I say about her? Now I'm like, hey, Mom. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. My sister listens, and it's so funny. Here's the comments I get from my sister. What are you doing with your hair? She must be watching it on YouTube.
Yes, there are challenges. And again, coaches and communities can help you through that.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next question, really fun one. Where have you felt really good and affirmed on your alcohol-free journey? Like,
oh, well, I guess in my spirit, like I think this is just going to bring tears to my eyes, because I think being able to look myself in the eye every morning, every night before I go to bed, like I don't have to hide from myself anymore, and I don't have to hate myself. So that's huge, right? I'd written something, I kind of had planned some of my answers, but that's really coming to me right now. I feel good about myself. And I remember starting to feel good about myself in that first year, and it felt uncomfortable. I was like, am I conceited? And that's such a high school word, but it was like feeling good about myself didn't feel normal, because I was so used to hating myself and feeling bad about myself, and starting to feel good about myself was a beautiful, beautiful part of this alcohol freedom.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause I can totally relate to that, because I remember every time I had been drinking that 2 a.m. if I woke up I was on the couch and then went over, stumbled over to the bathroom mirror. And I remember just, hating myself, and I looked horrible, like makeup or it just bags under the eyes, just mean thoughts to myself. And that is so true. It unfolds again. I love the word unfolding in a journey, because it's like you can start to practice it. Like, oh, can I smile at myself? Can I look at myself? Can I give myself a high five now? And actually say, oh, I'm losing weight. I'm looking good. My skin's looking better. Yeah. I want to answer this question with vibes, the positive vibes, because I kid you not, Susan, when I started 3 months alcohol free, 6 months alcohol free, people, and they still do today, will go, Ruby, or no, they don't even know me. Hey, you got such good vibes. Well, I live in California, so yeah, I do get that. But I mean, just this, people notice, I really get good affirmations from other people. And that must be because I'm giving off good vibes, happiness, joy. Because once you start experiencing that, truly, you give off different vibration, different energy. You're moving around the world in a different way, and people notice. And I notice, and people notice. I look younger. but that feeling of where I think I'll say where I experienced true joy or true belly laughs. I love those.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, it's like your gold is shining through. It's like this alcohol was like this mud or this dirt that was over all of us. And as we're wiping that away, like our gold, our true authentic self starts to shine through. And that's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And another example could be like I used to go shopping and oftentimes I was buying wine at the grocery store or liquor store or wherever I was. And I would look down, wouldn't engage.
Oh,
with
yeah.
But now I'm like, oh, hey, hi. So
Nothing to hide. Nothing to hide here.
Yeah, I think I would think, oh, do they must know I'm an alcoholic. I used to think alcoholic because I'm buying wine every day, but now I have nothing to hide. Just like when I drive in my car, oh, hey, cop.
Pull me over.
You can pull me over because I'm going to always do 0 on the breathalyzer. Yeah. Okay. That was a fun one to answer because that's about feeling good and affirmed on this journey. Okay. So go to another one that's maybe, because this is good to talk about both, but where have you had questions or doubts along your alcohol-free journey?
Oh, Lord. Well, 2019 is when I started my journey. And I didn't completely go alcohol free until June 1st, 2020. And all of 2019 was questions and doubts and knowing I felt better, knowing that I felt better without alcohol, but still questioning whether that was like what I said before about not wanting to be normal, not wanting to feel like I had a problem, you know what I mean? And still trying to get back to normal, get back to being a normal drinker and questioning everything. Mm-hmm. But I learned so much during that. So I would bring that up, or I mentioned that because I think that that's part of the journey. For many, many people is it's a stop and start and stop and start. And why am I not getting this? I was plagued with because I was in a group and a lot of people were all already alcohol free. And I'm just like, what is wrong with me? Why can't I just jump on the bandwagon? Why do I keep wanting to keep this in my life? Why am I fighting it? And it felt like I was fighting it, you know what I mean? And beating myself up and wondering what was wrong with me. And so, yeah, I had a lot of questions. Once I finally made the choice, I still didn't say forever in the beginning, but as then I progressed and just what I say is I let go of both worlds. Mm-hmm. I really let go of alcohol for a significant amount of time and said, I'm really going all in. I call it going all in when I talked with clients. And then it was just like, it kind of exploded and the positive vibes, as you say, started, positive energy. And yeah, I just started flying at that point. So, but that whole period of 2019 was necessary in order for me to probably, in my opinion, make the progress I did once I did make the big D decision of completely letting it go, because I had a lot of experience already. I had a lot of experience. I had many alcohol-free days. And that's what I tell people is you don't lose your alcohol-free days. You've learned from all of them and they all add up. And, because people would be like, wow, you just like stopped drinking and I'm like, oh no, this ain't my first rodeo, girlfriend. It's like, oh no. So, but I did at some point you do finally make that decision to stop. And then
when it actually kind of sticks. Yeah.
Yeah.
You might make that decision multiple times.
Many times.
But then there's like this point, I think I did too. There was like a point where there was it was like a different commitment, I guess, I was going to give it a real try, right? Like I was going to no matter what, this is it. So, no, I really relate to that. And I also agree that having those doubts is part of the journey again. And you can look back and go, there was joy in that. Well, maybe joy is the wrong word with these doubts, but you can see the gift in it, I guess might be the better way to look at it. So I had all kinds of questions and doubts and what we call this when we're coaching is awareness, beliefs or thoughts. And so one of them was, I need alcohol to go on a date. And that was a bit like, how am I going to go on a date? And even if you're married or single, how you go on like a date night or what? I mean, I hear this from clients all the time. How am I going to go on a date night alcohol free?
Yeah.
And I worked on this for months and months. I remember the first time I was so angry. I'm like, I guess that means I can't ever go on a date. You know, you go to that.
You go to the extreme.
The extreme.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't. Forget it. There's no, you know, and if there's no dating, well, that means I'm never going to find a life partner. And that means, I'm just going to be a single old cat lady. You know, or you go all the way to the end or whatever.
Catastrophizing.
Yes. Yeah. But I
Yeah.
would be a single old dog lady. I'll tell you that because I got my bagel. But like, so I really started to explore, look into it. And I literally now believe the exact opposite. And there is joy in this, like coming up with the turnaround. We call it a turnaround where, I mean, how would I ever go on a date drinking? I mean, you're not your real self. And I want to date someone who has made this decision too, like, and really values health and lifestyle and wants to live in this place where we feel our feelings and this excellent lifestyle. So yeah, how would I ever not? I mean, how would I not be alcohol free? Like, I want to be alcohol free on a date. So it's literally the opposite.
Yeah.
So this is the kind of thing we can do for you. Like, you might believe something and have these like questions and doubts, but we can turn them around. We can help you with that. So yeah.
For me, it was like special events, which would be a date night, like with my husband, fancy restaurants, special events, vacations.
Yeah. How can you? Yeah.
It's the last domino to fall. Yeah. It was like, oh, that's the only,
do this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can help you. So, okay, next question. What have you noticed most so far in your journey? And again, we're talking like the first year or two, like when you look back at your journey, what did you notice the most?
Why don't you start this time?
Okay. What I've noticed, and I cannot believe this because I needed alcohol every single day. I couldn't even have like a 1 day alcohol free. I can't think of for years and years and years, but I do not want it at all. That's what I've noticed. I mean, the most is like, I have no desire. There's just no desire to drink alcohol.
Wow.
And that is mind blowing to me. I don't even know how I can convey it more than that, except for I have no desire. But I'll add one more. Like, I love my sleep. I mean, that's one of my, I thought I was a bad sleeper since a child through school and high school. I mean, I would say I was not a good sleeper. I had insomnia and I couldn't sleep well. Definitely when I was drinking, I would wake up in that, 2 or 3 in the morning time. But sleep, that I never thought, just like I never thought I would have no desire for alcohol. I always thought I'd be a bad sleeper, and I'm a good sleeper for the most part. I mean, hey,
wow,
life happens. Sleep issues happen, but I would say 90% of the time I sleep very well, and I can dream, and I just feel so refreshed in the morning. So yeah, that's what I want to say I noticed. What about you?
Awesome. Yeah. Well, the no desire thing is pretty amazing, isn't it? Like to think that I can sit opposite my sister, let's say, or anyone, and they're drinking like whatever would have been my favorite wine, and I don't have any desire for it. That just blows me away.
Me too.
Because at first you think you're just going to have to hide out, right? And like never go around it or anything. But I think the thing that I noticed the most is how not drinking literally up-levels every area of your life. I mean, it's not going to solve all of your problems, but it probably solves 98% of them. Half the problems you're causing with your drinking. But I mean, no, I would say, because I didn't have any life. I didn't have DUI or any circumstances that really caused me, this big burning platform of you need to stop drinking. But it's amazing how just better every area of your life is. My marriage is better. My emotional set point is higher. I feel joy. Everything I do is just better. My relationship with my children is better. My relationship to myself is better. My relationship to work is better. yeah, just everything's better.
I'm gonna. Okay, you get the. That's a good. Well, they're both. All these answers have been great.
Yeah.
But I can totally agree, and I say that all the time. Like, and we can go with my sleep first. Like when you have better sleep,
yeah,
then
everything's
wake
better.
up refreshed.
Yeah.
You're gonna lose weight because you lose weight when you sleep. You're gonna have more energy. Then you're probably gonna exercise more, so you're gonna feel like stronger, more flexible. Again, you look better. So you're up leveling your looks. You're up leveling how your body functions. You're up leveling. My hair got thicker. It was very thin and wispy and kind of funky looking for a lot of
Really?
years. Yeah.
Well,
I'll have to show you pictures. And now it's like back to how it used to be when I was younger, which is thick and it feels good, and looks good.
Well, speaking of hair, and this is something I don't think I've shared on the podcast, is I had, because I'll say I don't do it anymore. It's called a body-based behavior thing that I've had since probably childhood, because I used to pick the hair off my little teddy bear. It's called trichotillomania.
Like in a certain spot?
This is something that's so interesting is I didn't even notice it. Like my whole alcohol-free journey, I'm getting to a certain place and all of a sudden I'm like, I had a little bald spot and I had a little place that had like short hair because the hairs would grow back in and then I'd pull them all out because those were the ones that I just would concentrate on. And all of a sudden I was like, wait, my little place that had like short hair was now longer and I wasn't pulling my hair out anymore.
That's amazing.
Isn't that amazing?
And you don't notice it until later. So like when we say joy is in the journey, oftentimes, but we want you to experience the joys during the journey, but you also notice it like a year out. You're like, oh my gosh. So many, like I have a client.
I don't do it anymore.
Yeah. And I have a client who used to have horrible migraines and I think she's about 10 months alcohol free right now. And it's like, oh, she's like maybe once a month, she's still getting them, but so much rare. So, and I used to have this like on my head, speaking of head, like a injury on my head. I'm kind of embarrassed to share. I don't know if I've shared this on the podcast either. We're sharing our deep, dark secrets here today. No, I know. But I used to store my wine up, above the stove. There would be these higher cabinets. Well, I would store my wine up there, but because I was going and getting another glass
all the time,
8 times in a night or something, I kept bumping my head in the same spot for years, multiple times. So it's finally healing and I'm 5 years alcohol free, but that's how long this healing journey is kind of a long journey. Yeah.
Wow. That's so interesting.
Isn't that interesting that it took this long to, I can still feel the spot, but.
Well, and I think for me, because the trichotillomania, it's a mental illness or disease or whatever. I don't know, but it's because I was in this numbing mode. I'd be numbing and then I would even know, like when we said being like in a trance or on autopilot, I wouldn't even know that I was doing it. And because I would, bumping your head.
It would just bunk and then I would be like, have a bloody spot every day. Yeah, it was weird.
Oh my gosh.
I know. Yeah. So, okay.
Well, speaking of like being worried about telling people or our parents things, when you were saying that, I'm thinking like everything's out in the open now. It's like, oh my God.
So, hey mom, now you know. No. Okay, which is good because really vulnerability kills shame. And I'm okay with sharing all these things because if I can relate to you or any of the listeners, so you're not so alone. If something like this is happening to you, you're not alone.
If it helps give people hope, that's what I want. Yeah.
And that our bodies heal, our brains heal, and we can up level our lives in every single area, as Susan just said. I love it. All right, question 6, last one, and then we're going to go on to something fun. Okay. Well, so when has it been the easiest for you to refrain from drinking? Like when you think back?
I would say for sure during the week, and then the weekends were harder. Yeah. And now all the time, like I know it's the key to like living my best life. So it's easy now. It's easy when you get that positive feeling. It became easier when I realized hey, I can look myself in the eye, and like that positive energy, it started to, it's like compound interest. It just kept compounding. But for sure in the beginning, the weekdays were easier, and then the weekends and vacations and any special events were the hardest times.
Where you
kind
of had to really plan for those. I would answer this question. I'm going back to like early days, I guess. It was just easier to always have like a sparkling water or an NA drink of choice in my hand. It just made it so much easier, because I noticed whenever I didn't have it in my hand, like if I just didn't bring one, or I set it down and my hands were empty, people would be, hey, you need a glass of wine, or hey, let me get you a drink. Or sometimes they might even put a drink in my hand. So I just hold on to that beverage, and it made it so much easier, I think. The other thing I would say is like switching up, like my witching hour, we call it. Some people have that. It was after work. So instead of that transition time, instead of like just transitioning, going home, cooking dinner and drinking wine while I cooked dinner, I went straight from work to yoga class. At least that even just would extend it for a little bit, or I'd have a different transition. So finding that like other transition made it easier for me. Yeah. So I would go to a yoga class.
Yeah. Oh, maybe I didn't get the question right. But well, for me, I think having alcohol-free options,
yes,
it's helped. So then once I had that, it's like, okay, I can go to any event. Now it's getting better and better. There's things I can order off the menu. I bring my own, or and so that I can, have my alcohol-free, bubbly clink glasses if we're doing some sort of celebration, and not feel left out or anything. And so definitely having non-alcoholic options has made it a sustainable lifestyle, I think.
Yeah. And like if I go to a concert or some out, like a venue, I get an NA beer. I never used to like beer because I was a wine drinker, but I actually like NA beers, and it makes me feel like I don't know, like I got a special drink, and especially at a concert, or something like a festival,
or like Liquid Death. Like, look
I
cool
love that bottle. Yeah,
my husband like really likes these, but you kind of feel like a badass walking around. I know. At first, I thought, what are these? When I saw them, I'm like, is that some sort of? I thought it was an alcoholic drink, but it's not.
And
it's water. It's literally water.
It's the cool part of their marketing, because I think you could be like a Hell's Angels motorcycle guy holding a Liquid Death can.
And
feel okay. No, but yeah, those are cool. So yeah, I just want to say that, the journey, you can think the journey is going to be hard, or you can also reframe it and think it's going to be easy, and just find like, where's it easy to refrain?
Easier.
Easier. And where are you finding this joy in the journey, and it's really what I've noticed is life work. So I started this recording with like 30 days, 90 days, 100 days, but it's now that I'm in it and it keeps compounding, like you said, it's lifelong work that I don't even call it work. It's what I want to do. It's growth, lifelong growth. And do you have anything that you wanted to wrap up around the joy and the journey?
Yeah. I mean, I know some people hate the word journey, but what else? I'm trying to think of a different word. I don't know. It's a process. It's a journey, and it's not a straight line. It's not straight and up to the right. You know what I mean? It is. I always talk about it being more like a labyrinth, where you're going around and around, and you feel like, when you're going around in the circle and you feel like, oh, I'm in the same place. It seems similar. I'm in the same place, but you're one rung in than you were before, right? And it's also cyclical. I've been learning about this in a course that I'm taking called Sacred Rhythms, and it's just so beautiful. Like the spring, and this is so interesting. Spring starts at the very tail end of winter. Spring starts in the dark. Seeds are planted in the dark earth, right? And that's the beginning of our journey, where we don't know how this is going to work out. We have all these doubts. We have all these questions, but then things start to grow. Then you get into the summer phase, which is the work. it's the watering and the hoeing and the, all the work to grow the plants and weeding. And sometimes you have to thin things out. Like you can't have everything, they're all too clumped together. And so, so it's hard work. Then you get to a harvest time where it's like, oh, you get to enjoy, like at a certain point, you're like really enjoying
the fruits.
Enjoy
the fruit.
Yeah. But there's also the winter phase, because a lot of times in our alcohol-free journey, we also start to find out things that need to die. We need to let go of.
I love this.
Things that, and that's part of the journey too. And so some people we get to a hard place maybe after we've been alcohol free for a while. And we're just like, well, what the hell is this about? Because Susan and Ribby said it was joyful and triumphant. And this feels hard, because it's cyclical. So then we go and then, but the things in the winter have to die in order to make more room for the new growth that's going to come the next spring. So the next thing that's coming. And so, and sometimes you can be in a spring phase in one area of your life and a winter phase in another area, but it's cyclical. And
Yeah. And this is such a great opportunity to just mention that we have created, and we're launching it soon, Feel Lit for Life. So because of this spring, summer, fall, winter, cyclical, even when you're alcohol free, you're going through these again and again. It's like, it is lifelong work or growth. And it's so great to do it with a community, with some coaches like Susan and I. But it's going to be so much fun. I just want to slip that in. But this is the time where, and you were just talking about gardens, so I think
this is perfect. I know.
What do you do to feel lit, Susan, in your life?
Okay, well, today I went out and gardened a little bit. And of course, we always record these podcast episodes several weeks, sometimes even months earlier than when they are going to air. And so this is very, very early spring here in the Northeast. And we are having a beautiful sunny day. And so after I ate lunch, I'm like, I just want to get out there with my feet in the grass, in the sunshine. I just had a little sweatshirt on. I could have taken it off, but I needed to keep it on because I even got snagged by a few things. But wearing long sleeves sometimes is really important. And I just got out there and started trimming things. And Lance calls me Edward Scissorhands. I go out there and start trimming and cutting, and then I leave big, huge piles around for him to get rid of. So there's lots of piles, but it just I love being out and in my garden and out in the sunshine. And I will plant a garden. It's way too early now, but those first few days when it's starting to get warmer in the Northeast or any cold state, if you get out there, I didn't even have sunscreen on my face. I was just out there going, pour on me vitamin D and sunshine. And it just felt so good to be outside. I was listening to a podcast and just sort of running around, cutting things down because, it's called spring cleanup, as we clean up all the debris and then get ready for the growth. You can see some of the growth coming up. I found snowdrops. The daffodils are starting to pop their little green shoots up, and I am just so excited for spring and sunshine.
I love gardening too. It's like my happy place. I've always had a garden. My parents have always had a garden. My grandparents have always had a garden. We are gardeners. And so I'm in California, so we can have winter gardens. And Susan's like, what's a winter garden?
Yeah.
A winter garden is like broccoli. It can be carrots, and what I have is cabbage and kale and arugula, so lettuces, and I got a whole bunch of those. I'll have to post a picture. And we got here the bulbs, daffodils, and
everything's already blooming.
Freesias, and I've got all these freesias in my yard. So yeah, things are blooming.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's not officially spring here yet. Spring, when the forsythia, which is a gorgeous plant, a Northeast plant that's yellow, comes out, and then it's vibrant yellow everywhere, and then the blossoms go away and they turn green, and the daffodils. So it's not spring until those pop out. But yeah.
Well, here's to spring.
Yay,
and
sunshine.
So this has been such a fun episode to record with you. And We have lots going on. We hope you'll join our programs. We got programs for people curious, the Feel It 21. We've got programs where we work with you one-on-one. Both of us have our one-on-one coaching programs, and we have this program we're doing together called Feel It for Life. So just
super excited about that.
Yeah, join our group.
It's like living alcohol-free lifestyle, being in community is so important.
Yes.
Because again, out there in the world, people don't get it. And being around the people who get it and want to grow and change with you. And we're going to have so many great sessions and content. So we're
planned it all out for a whole year. We are so excited. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for listening. You guys, we just love to hear from you. So feel free to join our Facebook group or our other groups, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks so much for listening to Feel It Alcohol-Free Podcast. Do you have a question you'd like us to answer on the show?
All you need to do is head over to Apple Podcasts and do two simple things. Leave a rating and review telling us what you think of the show. And in that review, ask us any questions you have about breaking free from wine or living an alcohol-free lifestyle.
That's it. Then tune in to hear your question answered live.
And remember, do something today that will help you feel lit.